Alright gang, so in our next episode of this video, course, and lecture, we're going to go through a really quick lecture. Okay, let's get straight into it. So we've been talking about software, we've been talking about different operating systems, we've been talking about a lot of things. So with applications or software in general, there's two different types. So with some applications and software, it can be open source. With other things, it can be proprietary. So if an operating system or a application is open source, you can actually modify it without worrying about any kind of ramifications, without anybody coming after you to sue you. You can literally make it your own. You can change the code. The source code, we talked about coding already, is available to you. So you can manipulate it any kind of way you want to without any legal ramifications or legal that's not a word, legal repercussions, right? Now, proprietary means that the end user, you, don't have access to the source code. You can't manipulate it. You can't do different things to it without getting in trouble. So for example, Apple is proprietary. So if you change anything to the operating system, if you do anything weird, for one, it's going to void the warranty. And two, if you create something on a mass scale and make a lot of money, they're going to sue you because it says right there, you cannot do anything to their source code. You cannot change anything. The way it is the way it is. So with cell phones, there's something called jailbreaking. You can jailbreak an iPhone or an Apple device. And what that means is that you break into the source code and you change it to whatever you want to change it to. And the things that I just mentioned, it's going to void the warranty. And if you do something super duper and make a lot of money, they're going to sue you, right? So proprietary, Apple, proprietary, Windows, proprietary. Now Linux is open source. Linux is open source. You can do what you want to. You can rock out. You can do whatever and nobody really cares and nobody's going to say anything. Open source, you can do whatever you want to willy-nilly. Proprietary, can't do anything at all. Okay? So when you're installing applications or any kind of software or operating system, just use common sense, right? First thing, I know you're cool, I know you're super smart, but read the damn instructions, right? Sometimes it's just next, or yes, but sometimes you may have to actually set up stuff and configure stuff, and a lot of times, believe it or not, those instructions are in the instructions. Another thing is make sure that you're reading the agreements, right? Because sometimes, especially with a lot of applications, a lot of apps, cell phone apps, you may be agreeing to something that isn't agreeable, right? It may the app may have access to things that it shouldn't have access to, or you don't feel it should have access to. So just make sure that, I know it's long, but at least do your due diligence, especially for mobile applications. Because just because it's in the Play Store or the Apple Store, or the Microsoft Store, does not mean that it's completely secure. So you have to do your due diligence and read what the hell does this thing have access to, and what can and can it not do. Can it delete my numbers? Can it delete my contacts? Can it copy my contacts? Can it call people? Can it save stuff? Can it download? You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you're aware of that stuff. And last but not least, see what's best. Is the default configuration best, the basic configuration, or do you want to have some advanced settings in there? Do you want a specific thing to happen at a specific time, so on and so forth? And if you change from the default settings or the basic configuration, how can that actually affect your experience, and can you go back if you mess up the settings? Make sense? All right, gang, so this was the last video in this domain. We're going to be moving on to my next domain in the next video. If you're in the course, then you already know that you got to finish your quiz and you went through all the simulations and those things already. If you're not in the course, shame on you. As I've said at the end of every damn video in this series, you can head over to itmasterkey.com and enroll into the IT for Beginners course. It's super cheap at $49 per this recording. If the prices went up, you shouldn't have waited. Other than that, I'll see you in class.